All right, I got a bombshell for you. Tighten your chin strap. I'm about to rock your world here. What I'm about to say, a lot of you are not going to understand, but you'll understand it once I lay it out for you. The first 40 minutes or so of a regular season NBA basketball game is basically entertainment. Okay? The game is decided in the last 5 to 8 minutes of the game. What do I mean by that? I mean the players are going about 70-80%. NBA basketball is a product. It is an entertainment venue. People are not going to come out to watch 5 to 8 minutes of basketball. So you've got to put something out there for people. You've got to entertain people. Most basketball games are decided in the last 5 to 8 minutes. And what that means is, your teams that are great clutch teams are going to be the teams that win the NBA championship. Most teams are going to have about 30 to 50 clutch games per season. And when a game is not decided in the last 5 to 8 minutes, it means that there's such a disparity in talent that the two teams really don't even belong on the same court together. I just watched the Dallas Mavericks. It's watching that team play offense is just painful. I mean, it's just it's Luka, then it's Kyrie. It's Luka and Kyrie. And I'm a fan of one-on-one basketball, but there's got to be some sort of system going on there. But they were beaten pretty decisively by the defending champions, and that game did not get to the point of wherein either team could have won the game within the last 5 minutes. So clutch is decided. Comes down to a game that's where the differential is less than 5 points, 5 minutes remaining. I'll tell you, there's an anecdote many of you have probably heard. And I think if you Google Iman Shumpert talks about Kobe, and he tells the story of when he's with the Knicks and he's guarding Kobe Bryant, and for the first 3/4 of the game, he's D'ing Kobe up. He's got a couple of steals, and Kobe's having a regular game, and he's thinking to himself, hell, I'm gonna be able to brag about this. I'm holding my own against Kobe. So the game gets to the fourth quarter, and Kobe, having pretty much not spoken to Iman Shumpert all game, he says, "You had a nice game, young fella." Mind you, it's a whole quarter of basketball remaining. So yeah, you had a nice game, young fella. And then proceeds to take over the game. So, he's hitting Steph Curry threes, and then hitting stuff off the backboard, and those of us that have watched the Lakers for a long time, we know what we're talking about. That's your great players start to focus at the end of the game, and they just take over the game. Michael used to do it all the time. They just take over the game, and it's this is why Mike, if you pissed him off, he could just decide to just give you 50. he could just do it, And the reason is because the first 40 minutes of a basketball game are basically entertainment. Okay, these guys are going 70, 80%. Then at the end of the game, they start turning it on. Now it's different in the playoffs. They're going, max in the playoffs. But in the playoffs, the key component there is basically, how deep is that rotation? How many minutes are your best players going to play? The game is still, even the playoff games, those are still pretty much decided in the last 5 minutes. But they are going close to 100% for the whole game. Stakes are too high. Why do I bring this up? Well, I got into a conversation in my comment section. And a guy says, the old refrain, well, Shaq was the best player on the first 3 Lakers championships. So therefore, Kobe cannot be in the GOAT conversation. And I told him, no, that's not true. Kobe was the best player on those teams. And I told him, I said, listen, teams do not give the ball to their second best player with the season on the line. And his response was that, well, there's a difference between the best player and the most clutch player. And he gave the example of Giannis and Chris Middleton. I've seen this before. There's a lot of media heads that are kind of making the analogy, comparing Giannis and Middleton to Shaq and Kobe, because there's this dynamic of wherein, there's this great player that is great on both sides of the ball, obviously the best player on the team, but he's not a closer. So you give the ball to Chris Middleton. And I told him, I said, well, first of all, the extent to which Chris Middleton is a better closer than Giannis is kind of overblown. Number 2, if you were to construct an offense around Chris Middleton, he could be in the 27, 28 points per game. Chris Middleton's got an issue with health. But I'm just saying, all things being equal, and I pointed out to him, I said, Giannis does not really know how to create a shot. He's not really, he gets his points off of, getting out in transition and just being more athletic, sort of like LeBron. But LeBron can create a shot. Okay. But Giannis gets out in transition, but he does not have the skill to create a shot against a set defense. So I told him that's why you go out and get a Dame Lillard, because the Milwaukee's Achilles heel is that if you can stick around, you can typically beat the Bucks. They're not going to be able to close. They're not going to be able to close teams out. So you go out and you get a Dame Lillard. I find it remarkable that when you explain things to people, they won't just admit that they're wrong. So he says, "Oh well, I have no more words for you." On your screen, I have gone through and I have found the leading clutch scorer for each of the NBA champions since 1997, which is the first year that play-by-play stats were kept by the NBA. It goes all the way back to 1997. So what you have here is the leading scorer. Now this number is accurate except for the year 2008. Ray Allen actually was not the leading scorer, but that year it was Sam Cassell, but Sam Cassell only played like 5 games that year. Okay. So here you've got, last year Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry. Yes, in the year in 2021, Giannis and Chris Middleton scored the same number of clutch points per game. Okay? Now, as you go down this list, can you tell me which one of these players was not the best player on their team? Which one? Which one? There's a couple cases wherein it's questionable. There is one. There is one where the clutch player is certainly not the best player on the team, and that's in 2005, Manu Ginobili. But even Tim Duncan, who I criticize for not being a great offensive player, Tim Duncan, 2007, 2003, 1999, led his team in clutch scoring. Okay? Now, I mean, you can, feast your eyes there on the years 2000 to 2002. That's not supposed to matter. Notice also 2010, the highest number on this list. I believe that's the season when Kobe had like 6 or 7 game buzzer beaters. I believe that was the year. But yeah, and then had to beat like 4 or 5 50-win teams to win that chip. 2014, Tony Parker. Now, that year, Kawhi Leonard had not really arrived as an offensive player, and that was obviously the tail end of Tim Duncan's career. Tony Parker was the best player on that team that year. 2006, Dwayne Wade. Who's not the best player on the team? The second thing I want you to notice, let's take a look at the people who averaged at least 4 clutch points per game during their championship runs. Because the other thing that I told this guy, I said, listen, the problem with Milwaukee is that neither Giannis or Chris Middleton is an elite shot creator. So you have to go get one. So that's why you go get a Dame Lillard, who, by the way, tonight put his team on his back, okay, and led his team to victory tonight. Milwaukee. So you've got 6 players here that during a championship run averaged at least 4 points per 4 clutch points per game. Where it happened 6 times. Kobe did it 3 times. LeBron did it. Kawhi Leonard. And of course Michael Jordan. Don't we recognize, those 4 players as elite offensive scorers? Maybe Kawhi a little bit less so than LeBron, Kobe, and Michael Jordan. Don't we recognize as those as don't we recognize those as elite scorers? We're talking about the ability to create a shot. Then look at this next graphic. These are notable seasons wherein, notable players averaged at least 4 clutch points per game. Per game. Okay, so 2021. This is why you go get a Dame Lillard. Just 2 years ago, 4.8. Kyrie Irving, 4.3 in 2019 with Boston. DeMar DeRozan. Don't we recognize DeMar DeRozan is an elite scorer? Kevin Durant. Surprisingly, KD did not lead the Golden State Warriors in clutch scoring in either championship season. Because that's Steph Curry. That's Steph Curry, who isn't as good at it as, some of the other players on this list. But he is still an elite shot creator. So, the bottom line is, in order to win an NBA championship, at the end of the game, this what typically happens is, you rest your best players. So your best players, it gets down to crunch time, 4 or 5 minutes left to go. The defenses are set, they're ready. You got to score on that. They're not just, kind of going back and forth, and it's they're focused. How do you score on that? How do you score on a set defense that's focused and rested? Okay. Typically, the teams that do the best in terms of winning championships have a player that they can give the ball to and have that guy go get him a bucket. Okay? Jimmy Butler last year. Jimmy Butler in 2020. You gotta have a guy that you can give the ball to, and at that point, it's no longer a system game. It's no longer about the system. It's about who's got the most elite shot maker. Okay? And when it came down to crunch time, the Los Angeles Lakers would go away from Shaq, and it would go away from the triangle. It would give the ball to Kobe and ask Kobe to take him home. And he did so. Okay? So that is one of the many reasons why Kobe Bryant is the greatest singular component to a championship team in NBA history.